So, Evan, good morning to you. Big night for all of these people who are vying for the leadership, all these leadership hopefuls. At its stake, what is this contest really about?
Well, there's two targets here, and we should not confuse them. Each campaign now knows the first target is getting memberships. The only way to win the leadership is to get members to vote for you. So some people think these candidates aren't playing for the entire country. They're not trying to convince the country. The target audience for this debate is not non-conservatives, not people on the fence. This is people who will sign up to become members and therefore cast a ballot in the leadership vote. So there's a very specific strategy here. Win conservative members. Now, each candidate has a different strategy to do that. Pierre Poilievre, who is the front runner in terms of fundraising and endorsements, is the unapologetic conservative. I do not back down to the media. I do not tack to the center. I am not going to be Aaron O'Toole and try to be everything to everyone. I'm not Brian Mulroney. I'm a rock-ribbed, unapologetic conservative. He takes on elites. He's made inflation his issue. He's taking on the Bank of Canada. He has unapologetically attacked his opponents as liberals. He has a tough-minded, full attack strategy that we expect to remain tonight. So that's the unapologetic, populist conservative. Then you've got Jean Charest. Of course, he's saying, look, I can win the country. I know you think that, I'm not sure if I can survive this leadership contest. His strategy is make sure this thing goes to 2 ballots. Don't let Pierre Poilievre win the leadership on 1 ballot. He's the I can win. Conservatives rule provincially in Ontario and Quebec. That's where we need to win. I know how to win in Quebec, and I'm a centrist. I can win. The wild card tonight is Patrick Brown. He skipped the last debate. He is running the totally different type of campaign, the behind the curtain campaign, which is he believes that he can tirelessly sign up so many new members, especially in various cultural communities, which he did when he won the leadership of the Progressive Conservative Party in Ontario, that he can survive the first ballot and then swamp the rest of them. He will come out, sources tell me, swinging tonight. He's going to show that he's a fighter and that he's a leader, and he's going to be targeting Pierre Poilievre. And then finally, watch Leslyn Lewis. She came in third in the last leadership race. Then she became an MP. She's a lawyer. She's got a master's in environmentalism, but she is an unapologetic social conservative. And the difference between Leslyn Lewis 1.0 and 2.0 is she's significantly more confident and strategically has no interest in giving away the social conservative vote, which has been the pattern. Social conservatives survive for a couple ballots, and then whoever can get their down ballot support can win. Pierre Poilievre has counted on that. The natural affiliation would be Leslyn Lewis voters to Pierre Poilievre, but in the first debate, she wheeled on Mr. Poilievre. He was stunned. She not only attacked his commitment to the truckers, which seems to be some kind of litmus test on the center right, but she also said, you need to clarify your position on abortion. And the abortion debate, because of what's happened in the States, will be squarely on the agenda tonight. Leslyn Lewis has made it a very big issue, and she is clearly saying, I am not ready to give the social conservative vote away on down ballot support. That is a absolutely new dynamic than we've ever seen.
What do you make of the format, and do you think it favors one candidate over the other? There is a section of this debate where you can only answer with a yes or no during a rapid fire segment.
Yeah, they don't like that. There's been some pushback. That's going to be short. That will push some candidates to state their position clearly. I don't think most voters want yes or no. They're not looking for a form to tick. They're looking for people to defend their ideas in a passionate and clear fashion. I think two things are different than the first unofficial debate. The room is different. That debate was the Canada Strong and Free. That was the old Manning Center. Those were movement conservatives, and that very much played into a certain part of the party in the center right, and same with the moderators. Tom Clark's moderating. He's a longtime professional journalist, the former host of CTV's Power Play, as you know. He will be down the middle. He's not going to let the candidates take things over. That'll be different. But location, location, location. This is in Edmonton. And even though Redmonton has some representation politically across the spectrum federally, this is Alberta. Alberta is Pierre Poilievre territory. When he does rallies in Alberta, he gets crowds that are massive. Now, it cuts both ways. That means he'll have big support in the room, as he always does. But the big challenge for Conservatives is stop overly winning in Alberta. They have a voter efficiency problem. They don't need to win Alberta 10 times over. They need to win more in the 905 in Ontario, and they need to win in Quebec and the lower mainland BC. So far, they failed to do that under Stephen Harper in 2015, under Andrew Scheer, and under Aaron O'Toole. And the pitch from Patrick Brown and Jean Charest is, I can win those. The pitch from Pierre Poilievre is, I can not only win in Alberta, but I've won 6 or 7 elections in Ontario. I can do that too. So the battle will be the battle to expand the tent, even though the strategy is get as many members inside the tent, because listen, you can't win the country unless you win the party. So make no mistake, the strategy tonight first is talk to Conservatives who will vote. So this is a very specific strategic debate for each candidate, because unless you win the leadership race, dreams about winning the country in the next federal election go up in blue smoke.
Are any of the questions in French?
No, there'll be a French debate. There'll be no questions in French, and there is a French debate coming up on May 25th. So this is the only English language debate, and the French language debate. By the way, the key outside of Leslyn Lewis, who's French, she doesn't really know much about French, she's just learning it, but Pierre Poilievre speaks very good French. Obviously, Charest's French is perfect, and I've spoken to Patrick Brown about it. He's been learning French for many years. He says he's perfectly comfortable in French. So you got to look at the front runners, and that'll be an interesting debate as well.
Indeed. All right, Evan, great to see you this morning.